Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. I'm your host, your brother, and your friend, Rashid, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining me on this breaking news edition of the Red Pill Diaries. First of all, I got to get some things off my chest real quick before we even dive into that, okay? Shout out to everybody who's joining me live and those who would download me later and all of those who would check me out later. Check this out. Over the last week, we've been watching YouTube play with the numbers. Every time it goes over 6,200, it goes down under 6,180 something. And this is going on. We've counted them 70 times. 70 times. 70 this week. 70. That's outrageous, YouTube. Outrageous. And I know it's not just my channel because I was watching an African channel talking about Captain Trailway, right? And I'm in the middle. I've watched one of the little documentaries that it did, and I was in the middle of watching the second documentary, and they deleted the channel. They deleted the channel. So anybody that's talking truth is going to have to go through this stuff, okay? Also, my intro was deleted by StreamYard, and it just happened. So that's why the intro was a little different. That's crazy, right? But we're going to keep popping and keep moving, okay? I want to thank everybody. Everybody smash the like button. We got breaking news going on. Didn't your boy call it? Israel just hit Iran. And Iran was supposed to be on a hair trigger to let loose some stuff. See, the politics that these people play, I can't be involved in. Because that's, to me, what they do is not manly. I'm not just talking about it. I'm talking about any of the nations of the day. They don't act like men. And what I mean by that is they don't say what they mean and mean what they say. They don't do what they say that they're going to do. At the slight of any transgression, Iran will respond. Well, you had intelligence that this was going to happen, so you should have immediately responded. So now, let me go to the chat real quick. See what's up. Shout out to Joe Bradford in the building. Shout out to Chad Franklin. Here we go. You better believe it. Chili Peppers in the building. He says, no, Rashid, not now is not the time. I'm trying to tell you. And Joel says this. They delete my message. I have no control over that. I've been getting a lot of complaints about that. How people are having their messages deleted and they've been unsubscribed. This is what they're doing on my channel. I cannot do anything about it. I'm sorry, everybody. I am sorry. So I've been checking things as the things jumped off. I checked Sputnik. I checked RT. I checked Global Times. I've checked Zenhao, Press TV. What is this one? MERS, and I've checked Fars. Three of them are Iranian news sites. Press TV, MERS, and Fars. Okay. Now, Press TV has this. It says breaking: loud explosions heard in Tehran. Okay. Okay, Mr. C's. Let's see. It says, DOA Iranian shield. Hold on one second. YouTube comment section is the most censored social media on earth. Boom, mic drop moment. But they also continue to take me out the algorithm, and they continue to unsubscribe people and don't send out a lot of notifications. Chili Pepper says dead on arrival, Iranian children. Okay. Could you elaborate on that? Here's what is being reported from Tehran out of Press TV. It says loud explosions have been heard in some areas of the Iranian capital of Tehran. Loud explosions were heard in different locations of the capital, Tehran, on Friday morning. Media reports, quote, the Israeli army has said it carried out an aerial attack on Tehran. A child was martyred in a residential area of Tehran. They show, and then they put a photo of the footage of the damaged building or whatever. It says Iran's air defense was activated Friday morning at full capacity, state TV reported. Iran's air defense says it is at 100% operational capacity. State TV reporter adding the reason behind the blast remains unknown. So this was a shocking, almost like a they went after civilians, right? And at the same time, I believe there was some they had operatives like U.S. and Israeli operatives in there to set off explosions. The same as what we witnessed in Russia. I've been telling you guys this for the longest. When the West want to play these games, sometimes you have to indulge them. Listen, when all reason and reasoning has been exhausted, right? And you've been on the high road for so long, sometimes the only way to convey your thoughts and to convey your message, sometimes you got to get in the mud with the people. You can't save a drowning person in the water if you don't dive in the water, right? If you see them drowning and you have any humanity about you and you are a swimmer, you will do your best to try to go into the waters to save them, right, from drowning. Sometimes you have to get in the water or the mud with these people to let them understand, listen, the language of violence and threats and attacks, that no longer flies because you are past your power. You're past your prime. Now, let me see this. I saw something in the chat. Hold on. Yeah, chili pepper civilians. We see it on the report. And Joel says, Iran, our response will be epic. Hopefully. Chili pepper says, waiting for the FO after the FA. And Vera is in the building. Vera, thank you for joining us. So much could happen from all of this to all of us. Absolutely. This is what I'm saying. These people who are running the show, they're lunatics. I have continued to tell you that they are what is termed as a berserker. These people don't care about anything but what they desire. And they mask their desires behind national security so that they can use instruments of governments, levels and organizations of government to promote their, not policy, but their delusions. And they're prepared to push the world to war. All right. Now, it says, let's go and see what this is what Sputnik says. And I'm gonna tell you something about Iran. When Trump was redeploying civilians and non-essential personnel from the bases, let me take this off for a minute. From the bases, this right here should have at least put them on a hair trigger. A hair trigger. Now, the United States and Israel and the West, what they do, they probe. You say you're going to do something. If you don't do it, guess what happens? They escalate it. They climb up the ladder of escalation. They climb up step by step. If this is why Russia is in the position that it is in today. Because Russia had already said, if they do such and such, we'll do this. And then when it came time to it, Russia did not do specifically what they said. Grizzly says, false flag. Hold on one second. False flag city. Grizzly, could you elaborate on your thoughts on false flag in the comment section, okay? Could you elaborate so that we can see your perspective on it? Remember that everybody's perspective is appreciated and respected, so long as it's a respectable dialogue and conversation here, okay? So, Grizzly, I would love for you to put up your thoughts on this, okay? And I'll highlight it once you do it. Now, Axios is saying this. The Axios news portal reported Thursday, citing sources that the Israeli Air Force had struck targets in Iran. On Thursday, CBS News reported, citing U.S. sources, that Israel is fully prepared for the start of a military operation in Iran, adding that Washington expects Tehran to retaliate against some U.S. facilities in neighboring Iraq. M. Sparks, thank you, but it wasn't my birthday. I was in the video that you watched. That was an excerpt from a video that I did 2 years ago. And I was showing everybody how timely that video was to what is actually happening today. And then in the video I said, I'm not talking about 10 years from now. I said, the war will start taking place within 1 to 2 years, from 2024 to 2025. I called it, right? On point, right? You know, everybody. Seriously. So, and M Spark says, what's good? Happy belated birthday. Shout out Region 9 till I die says, I tried, I couldn't stop BB President Roy Carter apprentice. Hey, let me leave that up there for a minute. Oh man, I gotta leave that one up there for a minute. Let that sink in, everybody. Let that sink in what he just said. All right. But let's go to this. It says, Washington expects Tehran to retaliate against some U.S. facilities in neighboring Iraq. At the same time, an Iranian official told the New York Times that Iranian military and government officials had already held meetings to discuss ways to retaliate against a possible strike by Israel. The plan provides for immediate counterstrike. See what I mean? Immediate. Immediate is if you let yours go, I let mine go right behind that. You see what I'm saying? Salman Zafar, salute. And salam alaikum. But listen, immediate means as soon as they let go, you let go. All right? Restless Natives is in the building. Bless up, Rashid in chat. Bless up to you too. What it says? Take it down unless you playing. Listen what Region 9 says. Anyway, Region is off the chain today. Fred Tan is in the building. Russia, China, world, please come to aid Iran. Now, listen. This is not an attack by Israel. Israel does not have the military capabilities to do this. For those planes to have made it there, they had to be aided by U.S. aerial refueler tankers, or they had to have aid from those so-called fiefdoms and shakedoms there that allowed a air corridor to come through that would shorten the distance. Okay? So we cannot lose focus of that. All right? So America wants to say Israel did it. In a court of law, if Region 9 broke into a bank and I aided him and they caught Region 9, could I deny any responsibility to being a part of the break-in of the bank or the robbery of the bank or the attempted robbery of the bank? They're going to give me almost just as much time as they gave the person who actually went in the bank with the gun. When they go back to my house and find the schematics, you know, everything, how we monitored everybody that came in and came out for 8-9 months, they're going to give me almost the exact amount of time, right? So there's no plausible deniability, especially when you were making way to move your personnel out of harm's way because you knew something was coming. Doesn't it remind you of what took place in Russia? I continue to tell you, the empire, the British U.S. empire, run the same tricks over and over and over again. There's nothing new under the sun. What did Trump say? All bad things could have already happened to Russia if it wasn't for me. Right? And what happened right after he said that? Boom. The railway trains, boom. Right? And then the launch of attack on Russia's strategic air force, nuclear, one part of the nuclear triad. Now we look at this. Trump says it's not a good sign. Iran is doing X, Y, and Z. Just 2 weeks ago, they were talking about, well, negotiations is going pretty good. Iran just gave them a counter offer just a few days ago. And then Trump said, it seems like Iran is hesitating. And I hate the consequences of it. Then he starts ordering non-essential personnel out. And then when the media asks him, why are you doing that? You'll find out. How can you say that you had no idea, no knowledge of it with that right there? See, this sissified politics, that's why I can't be a politician. Because they play these games with people's lives and livelihood. Now they're going to cause these people who are stationed over there to lose their lives because of these war hawks. And remember, BB is desperate. He's facing ouster from government. He's facing prosecution. His wife is facing prosecution. His party is losing their grip on power. There is a move to dismiss the Knesset, which is the Israeli parliament. All of this stuff is coming down. So desperation breeds desperate acts. I continue to tell you guys these things, right? We got a lot of people in the chat. Okay, let's see what I'm overlooking. Let me go back up for 1 second. Fine Home Painting says World War III just started, Rashid. No, sir. World War III started years ago. All right, we're just starting the snowball that you got at the top of the mountain that you roll down. It's just starting to build up mass. That's what's happening. That is building up mass for a greater explosion. That's what's going on. Let's see. Region 9 is tripping. Anyway, Mr. C says we are owned by Israel. Congress is a minstrel show where white people coon for Jews. Well, listen, that's right and that's wrong. That's right and that's wrong. There's so many things about that's right, and there's so many things that are wrong about that. And I'll address that. I think, as a matter of fact, I won't address that. Brian Boletic and I talked about that on our last show together on this platform. If you guys want to get into the intricacies of that, go back to that program there. Let's see, because we talked about the truth behind that stuff. Okay. Fine Home Painter says folks better be ready and prepared. Desert Mantis says, let me see. God, come on. This thing is acting up. Lindsey Graham and Mike Huckabee must have kissed upon learning of Israel's bombing of Iran. M. Spark says, just two brothers from the same crazy, deranged mother. Yeah. Let's see. Grizzly asks, do you think Iran is heeding Russian encouragement not to fall for these tricks? They may have, because remember, but look what happened when Russia was telling Assad that. Let's not forget about that. Remember, Assad, a year or two before this happened, Assad wanted to respond. That was the reason why he put pressure on Russia to send in the S-300s and to upgrade the S-200s. And then when Russia put them there, Russia did not turn over the total operation to the Syrian Arab Republic, which is, to me, was crazy, because how can you sell Turkey S-400 some S-400 batteries, and Turkey is a part of NATO, and you limit your strategic allies' use of the S-300? I could not make sense, heads or tails of that. This is what gets these people in the trouble that they're in. And then that's why Iran started importing their own air defense systems to protect their own troops in Syria, because Russia wasn't doing the job, and Iran had a flare-up with Russia about that. Okay, so Iran started putting their own air defense systems in there, mobile air defense systems to protect their troops. And Assad, you can go Google this. I'm not making this up. Assad wanted to counterattack Israel, and Russia stood him down. They told him to stand down on that. And it just got worse and worse. And look what happened. Assad was ousted. Right? So just like I tell you the good about the decisions of the Russian Federation and the global South, I'm gonna call it like it is, and I'm not gonna hide anything or try to make someone seem like what they're not. Okay. I think there was a misjudgment on the part of the Russian Federation when they did not allow Assad the use of the weapons that they had given to Syria, you know, and then in the later hours, everybody blamed Assad. No, everybody forgot about all the times he wanted to attack them, and he had warned them that the next attack we're going to respond. And then when that next attack came, they were stood down. And then when the next attack came, they were forced to stand down. Go look this stuff up. I'm not making this up. So I call it like it is. Sometimes, even if you have an ally, you take what they're saying, right? You factor it in your policy, and you try to heed it. But when it is not wise to heed it, You push it to the back and you do what you must. And then afterward, you'll tell them, listen, this is what was incumbent upon me. Put yourself in my position. What if I told you, hold on, just wait. They're not going to attack the Donbass. They're not going to attack the Donbass. You don't have to worry about them overthrowing Viktor Yanukovych. Just wait. Don't do this. Don't do that. And then after that, this happened and this happened and this happened. What would you think of my warnings to you? Me telling you to stand down? You would then discard some of the, you would still be my friend, but you would be skeptical on our friendship because you're saying this guy's giving me the total opposite information that I need. So if Russia has that right, then these other ones have that right too. There's no big I's and little U's. We're talking about sovereignty. We're talking about independence. We're talking about freedom, justice, and equality. So Russia, no nation has the right, the be all to dismiss everybody else's. No nation has that. Okay. Fine Home Painting says, 2 questions. Why didn't Iran intercept these strikes with superior equipment? That's something that was puzzling me. Because I said to myself, why didn't they use the air defense system that are acquired from China, the ones that they used when they intercepted the F-35s, and forced the F-35s to turn around and only fire their missiles like 100 miles away from the Iraqi-Iranian border? Why didn't they do that? Could it be maybe a trap? Maybe Iran set this up as a trap to justify. But here's the thing. Here's the thing too. I'm not saying, I'm just giving you plausible, different viewpoints. I'm not saying that I know it all, but I'm just giving you different viewpoints. And then you say number 2, how hard will Iran hit back? It has to be hard. Well, it should be, because remember, they still owe them one. They still owe them one. So now you owe them 2. So since in war they're the creditor, pay them their money back. That's the way I look at it, and pay them in full. Pay them everything you owe them plus some interest. And then from that point on, they'll get the message. If not, too bad. See, the politics of the West, I can't get with. The politics that have shaped the world, I can't get with. Iran knew that the IAEA was passing information over to the Israelis and the US and the British, and they were allowed to assassinate, which is an act of war and also a war crime and a crime against humanity. They were assassinating nuclear scientists and professors at colleges in Iran. They were doing this. So you know this, and now you got confirmation through all of the intelligence that you have gotten on Israel. Why the hell would you even agree to negotiate? And having the IEA to come back in there over your nuclear program? To hell with that. Show me, listen to me good. This is what I want everybody. The pro-West and the pro-East bloc. Show me in the nuclear documents that everybody abides by, where it says America has to police the world, and where it says that Iran has to cap its nuclear enrichment to 3.5%. Show me in there. I want so because everybody keeps talking about the enrichment capability. Show me in those papers that are international law now, wherein it puts a cap on Iran's enrichment or anybody else's enrichment. According to those documents which I've seen and I've been able to write in my head and read in my head, according to those documents, you can enrich up to 99%. There's no limitation on enrichment. So these are straw men built up by the West. Iran has no right. First of all, you're not going to tell me what I can and can't do. I'm a grown man, and I've been grown for years now. If nobody can tell you what to do, you're not going to tell me what to do. If nobody can tell you what's in your best interest, you're definitely not going to tell me what's in mine. And to allow for these people to assassinate my diplomats and to assassinate my higher up military officials and nuclear scientists and professors, I would get on the UN assembly and I would speak. I would say, you can go to hell, you can go to hell, you can go to hell with gasoline draws on. Until you abide by what you're telling me to abide by, this conversation is over, because no nuclear nation is going to point the finger at me and tell me what I can't have, and you got to arm me full of it. You got a stockpile full of weapons. Man, yeah, okay, all right. See how that work out for you. See how that work out for you. These people, they act sissified. Do what's in the best interest of your people. It's not all about dollars. See, they're so afraid of sanctions and trades. To hell with that sometimes. Sometimes you got to eat a loss. And sometimes you got to take a couple steps back to move forward. You've got to do that sometimes. You got to take that loss. Eat it. Because they're going to sanction. Hell, they've been sanctioning you for 30, 40 years. So why would you be concerned about more sanctions? You managed to live without what they offered you for 30 or 40 years. And me, I would also tell them this. See, I'm not a war, but I'm opening up another paradigm for you to think from. Why is it that you get to be the aggressor and that you have the right to enrichment and that you have a right to nuclear weapons? And that you have a right to interfere in other people's national affairs, and that on top of that, you have violated all of the norms, and then you want to lecture me, and then you've assassinated my scientists, and I know you have. You think you and I are going to negotiate? The only negotiation we're going to have is me getting my get back at you. I'm not with that sissy politics. I'm not telling people to be belligerent. I'm telling people to be men and women. What the scriptures say, gird up your loins this day. I demanded of you. Grow you a pair. And what is will be. Look. Let's go into the chat real quick. Big beautiful BB. Fine Home says Russia is tied to Iran now through BRICS and more. Listen, I would not listen. As for me in my house, I don't care how tight my relationship is with this country or that country. In the end, the leadership of the said country is responsible for the security of that said country. Now you take in what they tell you, and you try to implement some of the stuff in your own policies, but overall, that's a responsibility of the government of Iran to take care of the Iranian people. Russia's not going to let Iran tell her what to do in Ukraine, because that's an existential threat to Russia. Well, this is an existential threat to Iran. This is what I'm saying to you. We've got to stop holding them up to these other nations who have been the global powers up so high. We've got to stop doing that. And we've got to put them on the level of what they are. They're just nations. Hell, some of them are corrupt, more corrupt than the others. Some are more palatable and presentable than others. But you cannot say, well, this can and this can't. That's not how that's going to go with me. And I'm not going to rely on China. And I'm not going to rely on Russia. Because remember, let us look, and we got to call it ace and a spade. Russia has been doing a lot of fighting lately, right? So you don't want to put so much pressure on Russia to come to your aid, because Russia has a lot of problems that it is dealing with right now in Ukraine. And at the same time, you also have to be kind of leery too, because remember, when you pay for those air defense systems and Russia wouldn't deliver them to you because the United States had illegally sanctioned you, and Russia admitted that the sanctions were illegal, but they would not transfer until Iran took Russia to court. Iran took Russia to court, and before the suit was settled, Russia then capitulated. And that's how Iran wound up getting the S-300 or the S-350s or something like that. So I would not be so tied up in these other nations, because all you have really is you. And you have to stand up. You have to make it count, man. You get one of these things called life. It's best to live and die with dignity than to live a life disrespected. You understand? So what is the purpose of life if it is not about dignity and progression? Huh? Man, I'm from another cloth. I'm telling you this. Zalman says, thank you for being honest and fair, Mr. Rashid. It's a tough job to do in this political climate. That's the only way I know how to do it. That's why I'm not invited to the big events. That's why I'm not invited to all of these major intelligence platforms and stuff like that, because I'm going to spark a thought in you outside the box. Because these people, they think they're narrow-minded. They have a lot of knowledge, and I really appreciate a lot of the alternative media sites. But they think from a narrow box, because they believe that this world order will endure. And they see the world collapsing, but they still believe that the very nations that have corrupted the world will be in the position that they are now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. They don't see a world outside of the domination of the Western world, or even with the emergence of the BRICS, they still say, well, America can be a great power among powers. How can she be a great power among powers when she has ravaged the world with war? 200 and some years, 228 years or some, 30 some years out of the 240 some she's been alive. She's been a nation. How can she do that when she's falling apart at the seam domestically? The economy is collapsing domestically. There's a great divide, color-wise, culture-wise, sex-wise. Something's going on. I guess the devil is attacking my. Okay, here we are. They took my computers, but the computers got hit over here for a second. How can that be when there's a wealth divide? And then look at this, the massive debt burden. Common sense tells us now. Look at this now. I'm gonna show you how they can't think outside this paradigm, this paradox that they're in. Okay. America can be a great power among great powers. She can be one of the poles of power. How can she be if Greece or if Niger or if Mali or if Brazil had incurred the debt that America has incurred? They would be telling us that those were banana republics and that they will have decades upon decades to rebuild. But when it comes to America and the West, oh, they can remain great powers among powers. That's crazy. That's crazy logic. You cannot piss out the window and tell me it's raining. I'm not that dude. I'm not that guy like that. Let's see. Chili Pepper says, this was not at all about nuclear anything. This was about walking into war. Absolutely. This was about walking into war with Iran. That's why, listen, I had a feeling that something was getting ready to pop off. That's why I put in the last night I released a video, an excerpt, which was about 24 minutes of an hour and 30 or hour and 40 minute video I did in 2003, telling you about what America was about to do. And how she wanted to go to war with Iran and how she wants to go to war with Russia. But she has to weaken Iran in order to go to war with China. She has to. She has to. That's what's going on. Syria was strategic. They took Syria out strategically. They took Saddam out strategically. What did they do? They forced the Hashemite in Jordan to bow and take the knee and bend over with no Vaseline. They decapitated the leadership of Hezbollah. And then they went after Hamas. Didn't I tell you guys that all of these things were going to lead up to a strike on Iran? Over and over again. I said, most people are viewing these events separately. All of these events are interconnected to a greater plan that the U.S. has. People, Israel is doing. Israel has control over Trump. Man, listen to me good. Israel, that little nation, does not have that. Yeah, they have a lobby here that's powerful, right? But this is more than that. This is that unseen hand that has his hand in all of these Western governments. So, well, those are such and such, such and such. Well, listen, that little state of Israel does not completely control Iran. Who is benefiting from this? People say, well, Israel is benefiting. How? It can be destroyed. Who is the benefactor of this? It would be America. She would be able to continue her reign over the oil trade, the gas trade, right over there in the Middle East. If they were to beat Iran, they would then be able to weaken China economically, because China depends on Africa and Iran for a large part, and Russia for a large part of its oil and gas, right? Russia's at war, right? Africa is being destabilized, and now they're going after Iran. You think that's by accident? Huh? Man, listen, let's go further. Big, beautiful Bashir. Let's see something. Let me go down a little bit. Z said, M Spark says, damn, a Shakira Richardson commercial gonna make me miss my show. Let's see. Stratacat 2000 says they're using these Abrahamic religions for their plan, World War III, to end all religions, to get this Build Back Better 2030 to become a reality. Now these people are just lunatics. They're berserkers. Again, put yourself for a minute, put yourself in the mindset of a king that is dominated in every area of politics, economics, military, everything for over 100 years. Put yourself in that position for a minute. And now look and say, well, my kingdom, I've enjoyed this for 100 years, and now I'm buried under debt. My military is breaking and is stretched. My economy at home is falling apart. I'm in this position. I've used up all my political capital. This desperation sets in. And any and everyone who you think could be an enemy or could rival you, guess what happens? They get a bullseye put on their backs. Because what you're doing now is scorched earth. You want to remove any and every perceived threat to your kingdom, to your rulership. This is what the U.S. and the U.K. are doing. And they're willing to sacrifice any and everybody. You don't think they are? When I was telling people that they're willing to risk World War III, and I was saying that before the war, and I've been saying it for the longest. Everybody was saying, no, surely. Now what are they saying? Huh? How could America and Britain do this? It's pushing us closer and closer to World War III. No, when I was telling you this, I was out of pocket, though. These people do not care about you. They care about power. They care about money. They care about their perspectives over everybody. All right? Spark says, chess master versus special needs checkers champion. That's when we get the call. Let's see. Mr. C says, scrolling Twitter, and Israel is saying they took out all of Iran's military command. Let's see. Let me see. We'll see. Let me go here. This is what it's saying on RT. Commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard killed in Israeli strike. Media. The IDF launched a preemptive attack on military and nuclear sites on Friday. Major General Hossein Salami, commander of it. Oh man, if this is true, guess what? We are in it now. Major General Hossein Salami, commander of Iran's elite revolutionary guards corps, was killed in an Israeli strike on Tehran on Friday, according to multiple local news agencies. Okay, now Iran's gonna have to bring it now. See, what did I tell y'all when Iran and Russia allowed for Assad to be removed? I said it's better to have him as a buffer zone because he kept things in check, because Israel would only do so much because they understood that Syria had a formidable air defense system, and if Israel would have made it through there, they would have had hell because they would have lost so much, and it would have alerted Iran, and Iran would have been able to capitalize on that. But they allowed Assad to be overthrown, and now they got Israel and the U.S. and the UK's boy, the head chopper, in office. Notice that these attacks take place right after that. Now, again, Iran brought some of this on itself. Had they been looking at the true intentions of America and the true intentions of the UK and the true intentions of Israel, a lot of this could have been avoided. See, it's better to fight somebody down the street from your house or in the next state from your house than to fight them right up on your porch, because then people in your house become at risk. So they could have kept Assad in the power, and they could have been fighting in Syria. But now the war has not only knocked on Iran's door, but it has kicked the door down. Iran's going to have to fight now. It's going to have to. No more grandiose statements at the drop of a hat. If such and such happened, this will happen. Nah. It happened. Now you're going to have to pee or get off the potty. All right? Mr. C says confirmed. Let's see. Let's see. Minor Threat says they did take out the military chief of staff and general and 2 nuclear scientists. That's what he says. That's an Amber Alert. Somebody kidnapped a child. While they're fighting over there, the morality at home has just gone through the dirt, man. Let's see. It says Trump's 60-day deadline was over yesterday. Mr. C says Natanz nuclear enriching facility was also struck. That is a war crime. That is a war crime. So now, if they do like Hezbollah did, nobody will respect them ever again. Remember, after their leadership was taken out, Hezbollah went on the defensive instead of going on the offense and letting it fly. If Iran allows this wasn't a slap in the face. This was a kick in the groin, a sodomizing, a spit in the face, and a slap, and a punch to the kidney and ribs. If Iran allows this to go without a major response, nobody in that region and nobody who are allied with them would ever take them serious again. That's real. So it's a lot of pressure on Iran now. It's a lot of pressure on them. So now Iran has got to hit Tel Aviv. And they've got to hit Tel Aviv, and they've got to hit Tel Aviv hard. They've got to hit you. If I'm a military person and my general is taken out, I'm taking out 3 of yours. Russia has that part right there. But the war of attrition, that part right. If one of mine go, I'm taking 10 of yours. If one building is struck, I'm gonna knock out 30 of yours. If my ship is hit, then I'm gonna hit 40 underground bunkers. And pretty soon we'll see who says uncle. We'll see who says uncle. And if you hit me with a nuclear bomb, then I'm going to constitute me a nuclear weapon within 3 weeks, and I'm going to hit you back. That is the only way. I continue. Why did this happen? Because nobody punches the bully in the mouth. They might slap him or spit at him or something. Nobody punches the bully in the mouth. The bully only gets emboldened when you show kindness or leniency towards them. Everybody knows that. Why don't we apply that in politics? Geopolitics. Let's go for it. It says, God, I hope Iran doesn't let Israel punk them like this. See what I mean? What I just said now, Mr. C is saying the same thing. If they allow this to happen, and they come out with that all that rhetoric and all, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and don't do it, because they've already told what they were going to do if such and such happened. But this happened if it took out the head of the IRGC. First of all, if that took place, then somebody high up in Iran fed them the information. That's one thing. So, second of all, if 2 other generals were taken out and 2 nuclear scientists were taken out, the Mona and everything there would disappear before the night could fall. I'm not advocating war. I'm advocating, listen, and even swap is not a swindle. If you understand what I'm saying. If you hit me and I hit you back, I'm not escalating. I'm responding. So you took out that, then I'm going to take out BB. And the whole council. You hit my Demona, you hit my Bushehr or whatever nuclear facility, I'm taking out Demona. And every base around there. And we'll see where it goes from there. And from this point on, listen to me good. This is me. I'm not talking about anybody else, and I'm not hypothesizing if it was somebody else. I'm telling you, me. No Western ship could sail through the Strait of Hormuz, period. None. Because remember, most of the Strait of Hormuz is in Iranian territorial water. So if they wanted to, they have all legal rights to shut it down. No ship can sail there. None. If you didn't fly a Global South flag, you can come through there no more. I'm going to sink every ship, be it civilian or military, because I don't know your civilian ships. You could have a bomb on it. You backstabbed me. You've done this before, so I'm going to take precautions for my people. All right? Now, Bibi Netanyahu and his enraged act of tyrant, being a tyrant and his sheer lunacy has now resigned the citizens of Israel, quote unquote Israel, to whatever comes. Now watch, if Iran strikes back and civilians are killed, that'll be across all of the Western platforms. Nobody's talking about the civilians that were killed and the international law that was violated. But Iran is going to have to stand up. They're going to go on. If Iran doesn't have a pair, tell them to call me. I'll refer them to my doctor, and I'll tell them to give them some shots of testosterone, because right now it's looking like they're full of estrogen. All right? Let's see. Let's go. Salute the flying crocodile. Salute Rashid, Joel in the chat. Glad I caught some of the live. Yeah, breaking news. And I'm not an advocate of war. Years of martial arts and stuff like that. I don't advocate. Matter of fact, if I can walk away from a fight, I will. And if I can talk down a fight, I've done it multiple times, talk down a fight, because I understood that the guy on the opposite side didn't understand what he was getting himself into. I understood that. But sometimes, when you're like, listen, let me, I don't drink, but let me go buy you a soda, man. Because I think this is just a misunderstanding. There's no need for us to go through this. Come on. And if they push me, no, and they're belligerent, and I step back, they step forward, I step over, they step over, and they're belligerent, and they're telling me what they're going to do to me, then that is a threat to my life. I have children. I have a wife. I have a family to go to. And if you're threatening me, you're threatening their survival and their livelihood too. So if I'm trying to make peace with you, and at every turn that I'm doing it, you're brushing it aside and you're being more belligerent with me, guess what happens? then Mr. Niceness stops. And guess what happens? I'm going to speak to you in the language that you understand, and I'm going to speak to you first to eliminate the threat to my wife, my children, and the whole of my family. My life is, to me, is not as important as the security of my family. Because even if I'm gone, I'm going to live on in them. It's not even about me. It's about them. Iran's leadership better have something similar to that. Because the threat assessment now, man, look at here. What's that song say? Man, look at here. I'm telling you, they better. Grizzly says, bottom line, is it not true that the bottom line is we cannot go where BB wants us to go? Is that not the bottom line truth? Let's see. Well, let's see. M. Sparks, preach, Rashid, man up, mama's boys. You better believe it. Till the casket drops. Let's see. Region 9, with the U.S. becoming destabilized internally, a draft would just about do it. Bro, look at me. My child is not going to nobody. No wars. We in our beliefs, we are peaceful people. We do not accept going to war against anybody that threatens, that is not threatening us or the security of us. This stuff right here could have been avoided. If you want the war, you go to war. I'm not talking to you, Region 9. I'm talking about these people who are pushing. You go. All of these pencil pushers talking about wars. You go. Because I have to stay in the war all throughout my family. My grandfather served in the military. My uncle went into a couple of tours of duty in Vietnam. My brother served on the Korean DMZ. My cousin served in both Iraq conference. I mean, as a matter of fact, I got for every 4 or 5 people in my family, at least one of them has served in the armed forces. My niece was in the Navy. And a host of friends, every 10 friends I grew up with, one of them was in. Man, no. I know how this goes. They put the burden of war on the poor, on the middle class, while the pencil pushers formulate policies to destabilize everybody and to push war. No. My son is not dying for nobody. If he's going to die, let him die for truth. Because in that death, he'll live forever. But he's definitely not going to die for empire. That's not happening. See, I love mine, and I'm prepared to go to the grave for him. And that's real. Chili Pepper. Deaths of RGC Chief of Staff Hussein Salami, General Ghulam Ali Rashid, and nuclear scientist Dr. Mohammed Mehdi Taranchi, and Dr. Faridoon. What? Abbasi died? What? Man, look here. Cosmo Ray says Mordecai Vanunu, a former Israeli nuclear technician, was the whistleblower who revealed the extent of Israel's nuclear weapons program in 1986. Yep. Flying Crocodile says, looks like Iran has what it takes to go it alone, but they do not have political support from China or Russia. Listen to me, Flying Crocodile. I'm going to finish reading what you said, and then I want you to listen to a statement from me and see if it's rational, okay? He says, look like Iran has what it takes to go it alone, but they do not have political support from China and Russia. Israel can't defeat them, and the U.S. have only limited ability to help Israel. Now, let's address that first part. Look, you're right. Looks like Iran has what it takes to go it alone, but they do. But I believe you meant do they have, but you say, but they do have political support from Russia and China. I wouldn't have to have political support from them. You just struck me. To hell with what everybody else talking about. But let's humanize this for a minute, because right now we're talking about governments, right? And we're talking about nations. Let's put this on a level that it'll sink in to everybody. Flying Crocodile, Chad Franklin, and myself We're good friends, right? And somebody breaks into Flying Crocodile's house with Flying Crocodile's children. With Flying Crocodile pick up the phone and say, hey, what do you guys think about the guy that just broke in my house? And he's about to, I don't know, he may kill my kids, or he may kill my spouse, or he may burn my house down. No, common sense tells everybody that if that takes place, it is a fight or flight thing. Either you're going to man up or woman up and defend that household with your very life if need be, or you're going to punk out and let that guy or that woman have way with your children, your house, and your spouse. You would not be concerned at whether you had the backing of the neighbor on the left side of you, the neighbor on the right side of you, the neighbor down the street from you, or the neighbor in the next neighborhood from you. Your thought is to protect your household. Now that we have it on a level that seeps into us, all we have to do is look at that on a government level. Because remember, governments are made of men and women. So if you feel that way on a personal level, that is applicable to feeling that way on a government level. Okay. Let's see. M Spark says, we from another cloth, my brother. Solidarity. You better believe it. You better believe it. I'll take my turn in the dirt. We got to die in now. Listen, that's a path that each and every one of us who come into this world will have to go down. Death. And it's the way that you go down there. It's the way. You're supposed to love your life so much that you're willing to sacrifice it for your loved ones. You're supposed to be willing to sacrifice that for what's right. You don't deal with the all of the chatter after that. But in the moment, let right be your guide. And every man, woman, and child, regardless of race, sex, ethnicity, or whatever, when they're born into this world, they're born under the first law of creation. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. Self-preservation is I know they teach that, well, they used to teach it around the world, but they've taken that out. But self-preservation is the first law of nature. It's instinctively put up into you. This is not only applicable in everyday life, but it's applicable to governments and nations. Okay. Mr. C says, Israel wants everyone to know they have nukes so they can hold the entire world hostage with the Samson option. Let's go back to something. First, you weigh your options when dealing with these people. And then you go through all of your scenarios. And then when a scenario comes up saying, well, if this happens, they can do this and this, and what you do, you can sign, you resign yourself to say, what will be, will be. If that is what must take place, then so be it. If I must sacrifice myself on the altar of life for the perseverance and preservation of everybody else, history will reward me. To hell with material gains, history will reward me. To hell with your nuclear bomb. And after you kill me, you're going to make 50,000 more of me. Man, that fear of death is what, as a kid, when I was young, I used to have that fear. As I grew older, I no longer had that fear. I remember as a teenager, a friend of mine, we were out, we were in high school. I think I was about to graduate, if I'm not mistaken. I was in my 12th grade, I believe it was. And my friend, he graduated. And so we were out on the beach with his girlfriend and a girl who met me on the beach earlier that day that was a friend of his. And so we're out there. And so the girl and I were walking down the beach, and then we sat on the blankets and we were talking so pretty. And he and his girlfriend, they walked through the sand dunes, and I saw two guys circling. But me not, I'm always on my P's and Q's. But this night, I'm just happy. I'm in the company of a beautiful woman. We're talking stuff like that. And before you know, I laid back on the blanket. I said, "Look at the stars. We're looking up at the stars." I mean, it was absolutely. I remember this night like it was yesterday. It was beautiful. And I hear like running and like that. And so as I'm trying to sit up, before you know it, one guy jumped over, and the other guy was on this side, and they put a gun to the back. As I sat up, put a gun right to the back of my head, right to the back. And they tried to rob me. And I said, listen, man, luckily the money that I had, it was still in the car. But I had on new shoes and new pants or whatever like that. So they said, man, we're going to rob. I said, no, you're not. You're not robbing me. That's not how this is going to go. I said, listen, I understand that you're in a position of power. But, man, let's not do this, man. Everybody's having a good night and stuff like that. They said, one guy says, then we'll take your girl and do whatever we want with. I said, well, you know what? I started pulling them. I said, hon, take the pants and take the shoes. I had another pair in the car anyhow. It didn't really matter. And they said, well, you're going to have to turn your back and walk away. I said, listen, I'm going to turn my back and I'm going to walk away, and I'm going to walk to that sand dune. When I turn back around, let her go. And they let her go. But I didn't see where she went. So I'm running frantic, trying to find out. I'm out on the street, you know, and pardon me, everybody, but these white people out there, they were looking at me like, this black dude is running in his underwear. It's crazy, right? And I get to the street, I'm fanning somebody down. They call the police. They combed the beach. They couldn't find anybody. But what I'm saying to you is that day removed fear from me, because I realized something. I always felt it, but I realized something. Unless it is the will of God, you can have a gun, a bazooka, a tank, a warplane, or a nuclear weapon. They cannot harm you if it is not God's will. And if it is God's will, then so be it. Okay? These people have to get that. Let's see. Chili Pepper says, before launching its air operation, Mossad conducted a series of sabotage attacks inside Iran. I knew about that. Disabling radar systems and air defense systems. I don't think they disabled a lot of. I think what they did, according to some information that I got, is that you know, on the radar system, they showed different bleeps, some different bleeps and stuff. And so Iran was trying to figure out which bleep to focus in on and stuff like that. So I don't think they shut down the radar systems. But it says air defense units. I don't think they could not have shut down the air defense system. I think Iran just was lacking. They caught them lacking. Sometimes it happens. America gets caught lacking, right? What happened to that last F-16 on that aircraft carrier? Because they thought that they could outrun those missiles, and they wind up after Ansar Allah shot one. They thought that they had to dodge it because they would only shoot one or two at a time. Then Ansar Allah shot another one, and then they had to do an evasive maneuver, and that F-16 fell off that warship. Sometimes you get caught lacking. The best of us do. I just told you I was caught lacking on the beach when I was a teenager. Many moons ago. Yeah, absolutely. I put that up there. President of Jordan is a European. Matter of fact, he is not. He doesn't really have any roots in Jordan, to be honest with you. Let's see. Watch out, Australia, China is coming. When that fight happens, y'all will see what I told you about what China's going to do to America, Australia, and America's allies over there. Watch what I tell you. War with Iran, proof of who truly owned America, BlackRock and the bogus Jews, Zionists. Let's see. Flying Crocodile says, it's about stopping oil from Iran going to Europe and China and effing up the Western monopoly of the energy market to throttle the world. Also, Here's something that gets left out, and I try to bring this up a lot. Hey, please smash the like button. Please smash the like button. Please smash the like button right now. We have about, let's see. Hold on, my screen just went dark. We have 50 viewers right now. We had more than that, but I already know that some people get knocked off. I already know that. All right. But I'm not sweating that today because this is a breaking thing, but it's a little bit more than that. People don't realize how messed up these people are in the mind. And that's why I continue to say stuff ad nauseum. These people are so messed up in here that they understand that there is no mathematical way possible for the economy of the United States to regain its momentum and regain its position. They understand that if the U.S. economy collapses, the dollar collapses, right? They understand that this will also collapse the British pound, the euro, the Eurozone, and the UK. They understand that. So when people become desperate, what do? They take desperate measures. So what we're watching is this. They have scenario this thing. They have taken many scenarios and say, okay, what if we burn the world down? Right now, we still have a lot of military power and people still believe in our wealth. They are trying to, through chaos, they're trying to reshape the world order. There's a new world order merging in on the old world order. And what they're trying to do is stop the new world order from merging in and not just preserve what is that of the old, but they're trying to then flip the new world order so that they can come out on top, so that they can dominate that order like they did the old order. So with that said, they're trying to burn down the world to preserve their world order. And they're prepared to do so many things that you don't understand on these people's minds. Reason 9 says the West is the new world order. The West is a new world order in their minds. In their mind. Show me something new that they've produced. For it to be a new world order, you have to have a new way of thinking. Because new thought brings about new production, new ways of acting, new policies. A whole new platform of how to do commerce and finance, politics, and how to deal with nations. They have not produced anything new. They just labeled the old world new world order. But I'm talking in real terms. I'm not talking about the new world order under dominion of the Western world. I'm talking about something that is outside of their control. Something that is new, that produces new thoughts into the people, that produces freedom, justice, and equality for those who have been deprived of freedom, justice, and equality, and to produce new outlooks and new solutions to old problems. Show me where America, the UK, NATO, or any Western nation has brought about that. And then if you can show me that, then I'll say that's the new world order. If not, it's just poop on ice cream cone when you say that the West is the new world order. So, Chili Pepper says Iran is getting ready to declare war on Israel. Man, listen to me good. I wouldn't have to declare. See that right there? They would know I would declare war when they look up in the sky and they don't see nothing but missiles and drones. The whole sky would be littered from Iraq to occupied Palestine with drones, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, everything. And then they'll understand. Then after those go into flight and they look up in the sky and the sky turn to drones and missiles, then I'll get on the rostrum. See, I'll do mine different from the West. And I'll say, we have declared war. And I'll say, actually, we didn't declare war. You declared war against us. We're responding. And this is just the first wave. The second wave has already left. The third wave has already left. The fourth wave have already left. Now we're waiting for the fifth wave to leave. Remember, you brought this on you, not us. And don't start talking about let's negotiate now. To hell with the IEA. To hell with some JCPOA. There is no we ain't even talking no more. To talk to me now, you got to learn my language now. From this point on, I've learned yours. Now you're going to have to hear me through my language. This is how men and women talk. This is how men and women talk. Right? On a serious note, just add 20 years to the John Teeter timeline. But I've been saying 2025 for years. For at least 3 decades, I've been saying 2025. For three decades or more. Yeah, 2025. I told, as a matter of fact, go look at the clip that I released last night or early this morning. And I told you, and that was 2023 when it was released. And I said, I'm not talking about 10 years down the line. I'm telling you that this will take place in the next year to no later than 2 years from now. Go look at it. And I was so confident, and I am confident, because I understand that this is the end of this world. The end of this world as we know it. The earth itself didn't do nothing to us. It's the end of the global order. So we say the end of the world. It's the end of their rule. And of course, they're fighting like hell to try to maintain their advantage. Flying Crocodile says, Iran's air defense system can lock onto F-35s over Syria before they get to the Iranian border. Absolutely. This is what I'm saying. So if that is the case and this took place, guess what had to happen? There had to be collusion. Collusion with the United States, the UK, NATO, and some of these fiefdoms and shakedoms across these made-up countries across the Middle East, like the United Arab Emirates and Qatar. All of these recently made nations made by the Britain and the United States and France. All of these fiefdoms that are beholden to Western leadership. Some of these nations were just made up. But let's go further. Yeah, I said that too, Cosmo Ray. I've been saying that for years. If you go back to one of my shows, I even put the clip up. This was like 3 years ago. I even put the clip up. Matter of fact, this was before the Ukrainian war. I was telling people that Iran was now what's crazy is now everybody's saying this, right? But I was saying it, I said, have they ever looked that Iran will be the last one on this list right here? Huh? I said, what did Dick Cheney say? Anybody can go to Baghdad. Real men go to Tehran. They had plans and designs to take out Iran because they understood that Iran stood strategically independent from bowing to the West and independent from bowing to China and Russia. And Iran had strategic wealth under the ground. Plus, it was right in the center of all of the ancient trade routes and waterways. Of course, it was a prime target on the list. Let's see. Add year 3. Good evening. Just arrived. This looks bad. It is. Is it? Yes, it's bad. It's bad. It's going to be bad. All right. It's going to be bad. Let's see. Arlene Chambers says, bless the people of in Iran. Yeah. But they got to respond. They have to respond. And I'm not talking about no flinch. I'm talking about they have to respond. And I hate to say this because I told you a lot of my family was and still is in the military. But some of them might be made to pay for the policies of those people above them. That's crazy, right? The pen pushers are willing to sacrifice your boys and your girls to try to maintain Western hegemony. They don't care about life. They care about power. They care about wealth. They care about subjecting people and putting people under subjugation. That's what they're about. They're inebriated on power. What do they say? Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Let's see. Go Life says, my main man, the only one on live, baby. Oh, when I saw this, I told my son, I said, hey, you got to set up the stuff for me, man. I said, hurry up, man. I was rushing my son. I know he was getting impatient with me because he was like, because my son and I, we joke, he'll say, oh, man, calm down. Oh, man. I say this old man is still faster than you, and this old man still punish you in sparring, though, right? So don't forget that now. And he'll laugh. But we have our little jokes and stuff. But he did a good job bringing the stuff in, setting up everything, because the stuff with all of the computer cores were taken loose because we were moving some stuff around. And so he came in and put the stuff together for me real quick, and I appreciate my son. Shout out to my son Khalif. Let's see. Region 9 says WMDs don't have to be nukes by Middle East. Right. Let's see. Okay. Storm 1, break the silence. It says, are strikes ongoing at this time? We're trying to keep up to date. I know on FARS, there's no update on anything about what just took place on FARS. And that's an Iranian nope. It is now, they updated it. It says Israel strikes residential areas in Tehran in early morning attack. All right, that's the main headline in FARS. What I'll do right now, I'll read the headline of FARS, MERS, and then Press TV. These are 3 Iranian news sites. Okay, it says. In the early hours of Friday, June 17th, Israel launched airstrikes on several locations in Tehran, targeting residential buildings and neighborhoods such as Narmak, Shahid Town, and Shahid Shamran and Chittagong district. They're showing the building. Yeah, these were. Yeah, I see the buildings. What they hit. At least they're putting the buildings up. That's all that reported on it. That's it. Now, on MERS, that's MEHR News, it says, and let me see if it's updated. It says Israel conducts airstrikes on Iran's residential areas. And oh yes, it's been confirmed. The IRGC general, he's dead. It says the criminal regime of Israel conducted an attack on Iran's residential areas early on Friday. In the early hours on Friday, several loud explosions were heard in Tehran, the Iranian capital. Minutes later, the Israeli regime announced that it had carried out an operation against Iran. Commander of Kataman, Al-Anbiya headquarters, Major General Gholami Rashid, was martyred in Israeli's regime airstrikes on Tehran early on Friday. RGC Commander-in-Chief, Major General Hassan Salami, was martyred in Israeli strikes in Tehran on Friday. My God, hold on one second. The reason I'm messing up reading is because I'm trying to see the videos also playing. And it says, since a few minutes ago, explosions have been heard in Isfahan province, especially in the northern region. That's where one of the nuclear power station plants are. It says these sounds are heard every few seconds. Local officials say they are investigating. Let's see. Okay, now let's go to Press TV. All right, let's go see if they have any updates. Senior IRGC commanders, including Salami, martyred in Israeli attack. They got a picture. Oh my God. Let's see. Oh my God, that building is totally destroyed. Hold on one second, everybody. You know what? That had to be a U.S. strike. I'm looking at that building. That had to be a U.S. strike. That's it. And now it says this. Press TV just put up a video, and they put up a tweet, and it says the Israeli regime is expected to be wiped out. It says whoever allowed this attack will pay, talking about the United States, whoever allowed this attack will pay a heavy price. Press TV's Miriam says, what is this? It's jumping right now. Hold on one second, it's jumping. Because they're adding something. Let's see if I can put the audio. Well, no, they don't have audio on this one right here. So it's been confirmed that A couple high IRGC generals have been martyred, and some scientists have been killed. And this was an attack in this capital. Now, what would the world, now look at the response of the European Union. Now, watch they start saying no escalation. Watch this now. The U.S. and everybody else will start saying, we need to negotiate. No escalation. They do that after they attack people. All the time. No escalation. Let's talk. Man, the hell with your talking. If the EU came to me, I said, just go back to Europe, man, because all of you going to do is piss me off with you. So just go back, and what will be, will be. We don't want any engagement with negotiations right now. That's it. And I would issue a statement saying that as of this moment, the JCPOA and any spinoff is dead, just like the Israeli regime is about to be. And I would leave it like that. There's no need to be braggadocious or something like that. Hey, check this out. YouTube is disconnecting people. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it. Man, YouTube, man, you guys are tripping. But let's keep going. It says, bottom line, cannot take Israel's bait. Agree or no? Man, listen. They're going to have to take that bait. The worm looks too good on that one. It's got to take that one. So now you're in a corner. Either you let them go with this, and nobody has respect for you anymore. And your people, because if they allow this to take place, remember, forget world opinion. They got people that they have to deal with. America and the West are not the only ones that have public opinion that they play to. These other nations have public opinion that they must play to too. And if they allow that to go with no revenge behind it, or no response behind that, expect for riots to break out, and then the West to seize upon those riots and to overthrow the government. Think about that. So and this is tantamount to something, let me give you an example, because I'm the king of analogies. And I'll give you something that touches home, okay? This is not me going after anybody, but this is me just giving you an example. Okay, say for instance, a guy has been threatening you and your family for the last 20 years. And he's been lying through the whole neighborhood and city about you, and you've been letting it go. You have information that he's killed a few of your friends and a few of your cousins, right? And as years pass by, he becomes more belligerent, right? And then word comes to you that 2 of your children were just killed after this guy just threatened to kill your children and you. And all of the credible evidence points towards that guy. Would you take the bait? I'm asking. And that'll give an answer to anybody that asks that question. Would you take it? Fovo says, if they didn't get the Ayatollah, then it's nothing. Well, sources was telling me that prior to the strike, they knew something was underway, and they whisked the Ayatollah and his top aides out to a safe zone. So I don't even know. He may have been in one of the underground safe houses or one of the underground, because they have underground tunnels, just like with the United States. If you go in the White House, I think they have underground tunnels away from that to lower level facilities and stuff like that. The same thing there. I think they whisked them away. I could be wrong, but I think so. That's what was told to me. So second minor threats here, second wave right now from Ziocretans. Oh, what? What's second? Let's see. Let's see. Let me go to Sputnik and see if they have anything on it. Hold on one second. Now YouTube is getting mad at me now, right? It's buffering. Now again, I wish I could just pick this screen up to show you. Let me take a quick shot of this. So when you see it buffering, I want you to understand that's not me. That's not on my end. Let's go. Let me see something real quick. Right here. Now, hopefully this will show up pretty good. Hold on, let me see. All right, let me see if I could put it up to the, let's see. Hold on, everybody. I'm trying to get it where you can see it. Oh, hold on. Picture. Hold on. I got the screen behind me, so it's gonna be hard. But if I move it a certain way, I don't know which way to move it. It'll show. If you look close, oh, I almost have it. If you look at that, I don't know if you guys can get a close up on that. It'll tell you. At the bottom, it'll tell you excellent connection. It's a green light down there. It says excellent connection. So it's not me buffering. It's not me doing it. It's not my internet provider. It's StreamYard or YouTube or both. Okay. It says Iran should keep powder dry if they didn't get Ayatollah or the missile mountain. Man, the powder been dry for a while. It's time now to let loose. You got to understand, with the empire, every inch you give them, they're going to take a mile. They're going to take a mile. It comes to a point where you got to say, you know what? I've been in this abusive relationship so long. The next time I'm trying to leave, because Iran has been trying to leave this abusive relationship. But every time America and the Zionists, they pull them right back in. So it comes a time where you got to learn self-defense. And the next time they go to beat you, you show them a trick or two. Because Iran is fighting for his life too. Storm 1, Break the Silence, says, Iran is going to pound Israel so hard in the coming 72 hours, Bibi's mother will get jealous. Let's hope that for all the innocent bystanders, listen to me. Am I promoting war? No. What I'm promoting is justice. You do not get to kill people with impunity because you say they're a threat. You don't get to destabilize nations and governments because you don't agree with them and they won't bow to you. You don't get to go halfway around the world and just manhandle people and disregard life and security of other people. And then at home, all you're talking about is security. You don't get that. That is not your prerogative. If I don't get it, you don't get it. And when you come into my house and you disrespect my family, and you even take the lives of some of my family, and then you get on the news and brag about it, then it forces my hand. And as a man, I gotta be a man. I have to. Or else my life ain't worth living. I've got to defend my family. I've got to defend my household. I've got to defend their livelihood, even if it costs me mine. We have to look at these things the way they are, not the way that they've been presented to us. Because every time America does something, every time Israel does something, the UK does something, NATO does something, all of the onus falls on the victim, not to escalate. Oh, they should not do this. Oh, they would be wise to play it safe and do. To hell with that. Sometimes you got to get your get back. I would put it like this. How would America would react if Russia helped the drug cartels down in Mexico blow up some military bases in Texas and in California? How would America respond? And if you expect America not to retaliate, then okay, then Russia shouldn't retaliate. But if you expect America to retaliate, then why does she have that right and nobody else has that? Everybody else got to play it cool. If Iran were to help the people in Texas, the ones that want to secede, right? And Iran invades the U.S. and bombs part of the U.S., how would America respond? How would the UK respond? How would NATO respond? They would respond with overwhelming military force, right? Why do they get that option and nobody else get that option? Huh? Why, when it's on when they've done it, everybody says, well, we shouldn't escalate to World War III. You should have said that before you hit me. You should have thought all that through before you struck me in such a manner. If you would have pushed me, I could have let that go. If you would have bumped me, I could have let that go. But you kicked me in the groin. You stabbed me in the side. You spit in my face, and you elbowed me to the neck. And I'm not supposed to respond because it may lead to escalation. No, the escalation is when you did those things. And all right, shout out to Region 9, man. Have a blessed night too. I'm not advocating war, I'm advocating right. We've got to stop putting these Western nations up on pedestals, and especially when you know the dirt that they're doing, and then expect other nations not to respond. And well, if they respond like this, it could be World War III. To hell with it. It's already so. As long as they attack me openly and they tell everybody that they're attacking me and they're arming these people to attack me, it's okay. But when it's a hint that I may have passed some weapons open to somebody that's against them, then if they use these weapons, then that's a direct act of war against us and we'll respond. How does that work? Tell me that. And why is nobody talking about it? Because they are trapped in that matrix too. AD year 3 says, I don't like it leading to war, but no action is seen as weakness and will lead to more war anyway. So this argument makes sense, very good sense, right? And listen, what I'm trying to do is show everybody that the Western world, they truly believe that they're exceptional. I'll hit you and then, let's negotiate. Don't escalate. Don't escalate. No. We won't escalate after I hit you back. And I got to hit you 3 times because you hit me once. Now, escalation is if I hit you 3 times, then kick you in the groin and then punch you in the side. But if you hit me and I hit you and I retaliate with 3 times what you did, that's not escalation. That is responding. All right? Science teaches us any action taken will lead to an equal or greater reaction. How are we going to nullify the laws of science? Huh? See if I'm lying. Go look it up. And if everybody's subject to the laws of science, how are we going to nullify the laws of science? You hit me and I'm not supposed to react. You robbed me. I'm not supposed to react. You sanctioned me. I'm not supposed to react because it could lead to World War III. We'll handle that when we get to that. But right now, I'm going to get my get back. Man, look, I call it like I see it, man, and it is what it is. Has Iran retaliated yet? I don't see it. You know, that's why I'm still on the air with you guys. Breaking news, telling everybody about this. And let's see. Flying Crocodile 46 says, a whispered threat is way scarier than a shouted one. Absolutely. So instead of me saying, I'm going to take you out, no. When I get on the rostrum, I'll be calm and cool. And I'll tell them, when you look up in the skies, and as you look up into the stars and they turn to drones and missiles, know that this is in response to what you have started. If you seek a way out after this devastating response. And I'll leave it like that. Everybody, hold on one second. Let me put a clip up real quick because I got to plug in my computer again. It's going dead, and I don't want the thing to shut down on me, okay? Hold on. Let me see if I can find something. All right.
Delegations from more than 100 nations have gathered in Moscow to discuss the new avenues for international cooperation. Vladimir Putin said that the main focus is to develop a new security architecture without compromising the safety and interests of any nation. Now, while the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council says that the current global order is incapable of solving any of the world's problems.
We followed up on agreements and joint projects between the two countries, as we do in all other meetings, and set new plans. Naturally, we carry out such work at every summit and every opportunity. The failure of the old order is clearly evident today, as it is incapable of solving any of the world's problems. The most glaring example is the 19-month massacre in Gaza, which the West has remained silent about and taken no practical action against. A new order is needed. In this new order, countries of the South and East will play a decisive role. Certainly the role of Russia, the role of Iran, the role of China, and especially Russia and Iran, which have paid the costs of this new order, will be decisive in shaping it. We do not actually consider ourselves to be facing a major security challenge. Iran's security is strong, and we rely on our own capabilities, trust in God, and are not worried about any threats. However, today, the usurping Zionist regime poses a threat and insecurity for the entire Southwest Asian region, for all countries in the region, and even for the world. Wherever Israel gains a presence and can exert its power, that place becomes a source of evil and insecurity. Thus, this insecurity exists for everyone, but we are not concerned about it.
So now, Ad Year 3 says Iran officially said that as a minimum, any attack would have immediate and reciprocal response. As a minimum, they will be looking at what those are right now, I assume. Well, listen, they said at the hair trigger, they would immediately respond. Immediate means right then. Right then. As a matter of fact, just go look on Press TV about how they were saying that they're ready to go. If anything should happen, they would respond immediately. They haven't responded. Maybe they're assessing the damages. They can assess that as they respond. Right? Because now you're giving the people who attack you time to hide. Are you trying to give them a time to hide so this doesn't escalate? Nah, man, nah, that ain't how that goes. Let's see. M Spark says, I'm a U.S. Air Force vet. Them fools got me when I was 17 years old. Didn't know better. Yeah. Watch out for Turkey. Let's see. 100. You can never trust a jive turkey like Erdogan. Didn't you see Braveheart? Yeah, I saw Braveheart multiple times. I'm not moving. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Hold on, everybody. It's the chat is moving fast. I'm talking about fast, and I'm trying to get it. I'm like, whoa. It says it ain't about desire for reward. It's about doing the right thing because it is the right thing to do. A message without reward. That's what I'm saying. See, sometimes you have to look beyond material gain. You got to look beyond being recognized by people, because sometimes being recognized people is not right in the eyes of God. You should want to be recognized by God. History will best reward those who do their research, and history will also best reward those who do their work and their sacrifice. Truth is truth. Truth will prevail. And so when you're in the right, you don't have to measure your steps. This is the problem with the thinking of the world today. They want the people who are in the right to measure their steps, while they allow the people who are wrong to just run rampant. Oh man, I tell you what. Shout out to Marvin Earl. Shout out. M Spark says again, I ain't ready to leave the crazy Matrix conscript just yet. I like my avatar. This go around. Yeah. Michael N. Salute to Michael. Salute to Rashid in the chat. Yeah, flying crocodile. Let's see. America always get caught lacking. Always. Let's see. King of Jordan is a Iraqi English, not English. Yeah. Let's see. I unliked it. Just hit the like button again. LOL. Solar Bear says Article 6, the U.S. and Israel from the UN. Let's see. Leroy Ross. That's what I was saying at the beginning of the show. Listen, over this week alone, I believe it was 70 times my show went over 6,200. It was approaching 6,300. 70. Listen, not 70 at least. And each time I look back on there, it was down again back to 61, something like this. Is what I tell you. This is what they do. And then the show that I did the other day, when it was over, it had about 100 likes. When I went back like an hour later just to check, it had 39 likes on it. I was like, huh? What? But it is what it is. That's what they do, you know. But I'm glad somebody is understanding and seeing it. Last week, your subscribers showed way less. You're the best analyst out there. They want to take you down. You better go to China where they can't find you like Prime Balletic and be annoyed. Listen, yeah, I believe when it comes to insight, because I give examples and I understand geopolitics and I understand human nature. When you have that and you have just a little bit of common sense, and then you have what I was taught by my mentor, it gives you your head and shoulders above it. A lot of people, because when people, and I noticed this, most people analyze this from their either their perspective region or their perspective country or their perspective political system. Sometimes they take out major parts that need to be left in so that you can see the grand picture, the bigger picture. Not that they're trying to do it. I'm not saying they're trying. I'm just saying sometimes they leave it out, or they'll speak from a perspective because some of them were in government. Some of them rub hands with government figures. Some of them get inside information. Well, I get inside information, but some of them, you know, sometimes it puffs somebody up because they get a lot of information. I talk to a lot of the same people some of these big channels talk to, you know. And I think in that something gets lost in translation. So what I do, I try to break it down to the very last compound so that the average Joe can understand. That's why we go into definitions on words. Because I notice how these elite and these newspapers, when they structure their articles, you may think that they're talking to you, but they have certain things in there where they're talking over you. So the best way to understand is to then break down the word and break down the sentences. We reconstruct the paragraph so that we can get a deeper understanding of what they're trying to convey to the people. Let's see. Region I says, what would you say to any world leader who might be reading this right now? I would say that, first of all, injustice cannot go on much longer. This is why the world is collapsing right now, because the world has been fed a steady diet of racism, injustice, fascism, exceptionalism, hatred, greed, materialism, and they have taken the eye off the creator, and put it on the creation. So the lust for money, the lust for blood, the lust for power, the lust for war becomes, to some people, unquenchable. And it leads those people to positions of power. And once they get in those positions of power, they have no constraints, no moral constraints, no ethical constraints on them. And then they push others ad nauseum to push across their policies. So I would say, first of all, look within yourself, because regardless of what you do, you're not going to stop what has already been put in motion. This is the end of this world order. You're not stopping that. I don't care how many wars you have. You're not stopping it. What you can do is make it worse for yourself. I would say do a real appraisal of your leadership, your government, and your nation's position. And if it is not in line with righteousness and justice, freedom, justice, and equality, then you're going down too. If you don't correct it. Right now, there's a little time left to correct it before this snowball hits the bottom at full force. That's what I would say to them. And cherish every moment of life, because it's a blessing. This is not something guaranteed to you. So if you cherish your life, cherish those people who you think are insignificant, because they have just as much right to a life that you have. They have just as much right to security and being able to provide for their families without being exploited, talked down to, and looked down upon. Be the voice of the people and not the voice of the corporations and these insane lunatics who want to run government. That's what I would say. Let's see. I didn't know that, Cosmo Ray. Today is the first day of the Bilderberg meeting. I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing it. I did not know that. See, even I learned some on here too. Let's see. Leroy Ross says, I'm so glad to see you on. You always make my day. Iran is ready for the showdown. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Because I'm going to speak to you straight. All right. Pedro says, oh, it. Just woke up for a piss and it's all kicking off. Good morning, all. Good morning, Pedro. I hope you've been blessed too, man. Well, you're blessed because you're up. Flying Crocodile says the current cats, I'll say that. the current cat puppet king of Jordan is Abdullah ibn al-Hussein, and he is a member of that's what I said earlier, the Hashemite dynasty. He is the 41st generation descendant. No, he's not a descendant of Prophet Muhammad. That's what they tell you. He's not. They, the United States and Great Britain wrote these histories of these people. Listen to me. They wrote them into royalty and stuff like that when they put them in power, because the Saudis say the same thing, that they are descendants from Prophet Muhammad, and they were desert bandits. All of these guys were desert bandits. They were robbing and raping people. And then the United States and Great Britain and France had a deal for them. Hey, listen, if we put you in power, they radicalized Islam, called it Wahhabism. And then it went from that to Salafism, right? This is under the CIA. Go, if you think I'm lying, look at the CIA's writings on this. They took that and they used that as a weapon to radicalize the Middle East or West Asia. As a matter of fact, I was just looking at a documentary 4 days ago about how the CIA used that Wahhabism and Salafism to radicalize and use these people as agents of terror to keep the U.S. and the U.K. empire going. I was just looking at a documentary the other day on that. Let's see. It says, he said Muslims to be a direct descendant. He ascended to the throne on February 7th, 1999, following the death of his father. And his father was a crook too. Excuse me. He was a patsy too. You know, I can go in on those people in Jordan. He's not even beloved in Jordan. That's crazy, right? He's not even beloved by the Jordanian people, because they understand that he does not have his roots there. Let's see. China and Russia better defend Iran or they will be next. They're not. They'll defend them in a certain way, but they're gonna I'll say that for the next show. I'll say that for the next show. Woo! I almost got into another topic about what's going to happen when this thing goes down. Okay, let's see. You almost got me. Facts, not feelings. All I know is multiple countries attack Israel. All I know is this is when it goes, it's gonna go regional. Remember these words. I keep saying this. I've been saying it for 4 decades. Excuse me. From a radio show to articles to this broadcast here, that when this war takes place, and it will go regional, this will be the stone that breaks the US-UK empire. They will be forced out of the Middle East. Listen to what I'm saying to you all. I'm the only one saying this. So when it happens, you'll know who said it. They will be forced out of North Africa in the Middle East, the MENA region, Middle East and North African region. They're going to be pushed out of there. This war with Iran or Persia is going to cement the decline of the Western world. When this war breaks out, America's going to give it to Iran, but Iran is going to give just as much as she gets. Watch what I tell you guys, and we'll come back and we're going to discuss this as the things escalate. All right. Let's see. 10 years, a united European military moves east from Germany and forces Russia to launch nuclear strikes. Nah, Europe won't be a power then in 10 years. They won't. And on the international scale, this is going to be hard for a lot of people to believe, but on the international scene, they won't even be relevant. No, because you have to understand something. That resource, and I was checking out a Chinese not documentary, but a Chinese forum, and they were talking about this. Resources is king today, and they were saying that the most relevant people will be the African continent, Asia, Latin America, and Russia. You see, because Europe has little to no resources. What makes Europe rich is because they dictate the monetary scheme right now, but it's imploding. This is what I'm telling you all. This is why the West is fighting like hell. This is why you see them. They don't level with their citizens. They don't tell them why they are doing these things. They don't because they understand that the citizens now, European citizens have more cojones than American citizens because they'll get up there and they'll protest and they'll invade buildings when they get up in arms. So the European governments are not telling them the reality of the situation. That if Africa rises, if Latin America rises, if Asia rises, we can no longer exploit the resources and the labor. And if we can't do that, being a continent that is lacking in those things, we can't compete on a global scale. So it's to our interest to destabilize these areas and to foment unrest, and if necessary, provoke war. That's the truth. That is absolutely the truth. That was in a U.S. assessment. That was in a European assessment. All I'm saying is what they said. So, but they won't level with the European people because those people will be up in arms about this. You see them go to the street. Americans are slow to do that. Europeans will go to the street. All right. Let's see. Bad facts are not feeling says the draft is coming once China and Russia gets dragged in. This regional war won't go global. It won't go global. The war is going to go regional, but it's not going to go global. But China and Russia will be a part of it in the latter stages. When they see what's going on, they're going to intervene, and America's going to have to take a hike. The U.S. and the U.K. going to have to take a hike. That's when the war with China is going to start heating up. That's when. Now I'm giving y'all the steps of the wars. Who else has told you guys this will happen like this is going to happen like this and then if you go back and look at the track record of what I said, it happened just like that. Show me one pundit that did that. And I've been doing it for years. All right. So now look, it says the technology that needs Siri as a buffer zone. See, it says that's why they let it fall for now. Let's see. Oh, speaking of that, they were saying that what was that? That the U.S. is so, and I was listening to something that said the U.S. is so outraged and enraged of the new trade deals between some African nations and China, and some African nations in Iran, and some African nations in Russia, that they refuse to allow this to go on without trying to blow the whole scheme up because it is detrimental to Western hegemony. I was looking at that yesterday. The day before, whatever day I told you guys, I was looking at the thing on the African Traore, the captain in Burkina Faso. When I was looking, I also looked at that. So I advise you guys to please do some research. Please do some research. I'm gonna stay on the air for a couple more minutes, but it's like 10:30 my time. So I know my family is eating and I haven't. So let's see. Let me scroll real quick. Hold on. The thing is jumping. Please, everybody, don't think I'm skipping your comments. The thing is jumping. Facts Not Feeling says this was apartheid state's fatal mistake. I believe so. Was a lot of the U.S. 18 to 24 age group killed in the war because of the draft? Yes. Bricks rising. Let's see. Yeah, they martyred the general. It's gonna be some payback, man. And when it does, I'm gonna be right back on there to tell you guys. Let's see. Yep. Let's go back. Right there. Boom. Mic drop moment. Right there. Right there. Let's put that there for a minute and be quiet for just like 10 seconds and let that sink in. That's what I'm talking about right there. Iran will retaliate. We're looking for that retaliation, and it's gonna have to be a monumental retaliation. It can't be no pinpricks or telling these people to get out of the way or nothing. No, it has to be like, well, if they're there, it's just gonna be collateral damage. We're gonna take America's mantra, Israel mantra, and we're gonna throw it back at them. All right. So, let's see. Oh yeah, time. Time to go stock up on some popcorn because this is gonna be a movie unlike anything you've seen before. I told you, it's some rats. That's what America them do. They go into societies, with their NGOs and their so-called religious groups, and they find the dissatisfied or the ones that are at the bottom, and then they help them out, and then they indoctrinate them, and then they give them money, and they keep them going as they grow older, and they put them into these little think tanks and stuff, and as they get older, they be sleeper cells. They become sleeper cells. And whenever the West give them the okay, then they put together protests and march, and then they feed intel to the West, and then they do sabotage on infrastructure. They kill their own people willingly because they have a thirst for power. And America has brainwashed them, or UK has brainwashed them, or the Western world has brainwashed them. And they believe that dollar is king when dollar is no longer even the gesture in the court. It says Iran may have to call up millions of its population to go to war and deal with this attack. I'm telling you, this is a bad attack here, buddy. It says Iran is ready. They should have had some of them generals in it. Again, Iran is ready. They got bunkers miles down into the mountains that they cannot reach. Yeah, I saw that. Even with nuclear weapons. I saw that with Alistair Crook saying, when he said that it would take 300 to 400 nuclear bombs to destroy one mountain. That's what he was saying. I saw that. I thought that was interesting too. Shout out, Leroy. We watched the same thing. Let's see. But he didn't just say it on Judge the day. He said it yesterday too, because I saw it yesterday. Let's see. Boom, boom. Well, maybe so, but guess what happened? They pulled the trigger, and they killed some people. So justice says that a response has to come, right? Because if you go to a court and say, "Hey, I shot my gun and I wind up killing some people, but I didn't intend to. I was just threatening them." You think you're going to get off just by saying you didn't mean to and you were threatening them? Nah, there's going to be consequences and repercussions. Let's see. M. Spark says only posting 1 out of 3 attempts to post. Man, YouTube, you suck. Let's see. The EU, Israel, and the Five Eyes countries are all in. Absolutely, Cosmo. That's absolutely right. That's what I've been saying. All of them fed intelligence. All of them took a part in it some way, shape, or form. And if it was me, all of them had to pay a consequence. Let's see. Oh man, this thing is jumping so bad. Everybody, listen. We're about to jump off the air. I want to thank everybody for joining me on the most powerful platform for truth, bar none, on God's green earth. This is your platform for education, elevation, and edification. This is the Red Pill Diaries, and you've been here watching a breaking news special report. Family, you know what? Do right by others. Not because there's some material gain or because there's some accolades behind it. Do right by others because it's the right, humane, and godly thing to do. Because even when no one else is watching you, God Almighty is watching you. He sits high, but he looks low. And know this for a fact, that I love each and every one of you who loves truth. But know that the love that I have for you will always pale in comparison to the love that God has for you. Until we next speak again, stay strong, stay true, but above all things, stay righteous. Thank you all for joining me. Hey, mama, to eternity and beyond, your baby boy still loves you more than life. Deuces, everybody. I'm out of here. Peace.